Hello everyone. Today in class we are going to review going through the steps to solve with trigonometry. This does not cover everything we've done in this unit. It covers a pretty big chunk of it, but not everything. So I do recommend that you still review the K-12 content and watch the video recording and do the review that I provided in the review section of OMHS. Today we're going to practice trig, and we're going to practice that with this maze. This maze is posted to OMHS, and the key will be there also. What you do is you start and start. You solve for x. We're solving for x to the nearest 10th. So whatever you get for x will tell you which direction to go next. So let's say we got 10.6. We would shade in 10.6, and then we would solve this one next. And whatever we got would take us through the maze until we get to the end. Okay, so let's start at start. Remember, we need to use Sohcahtoa when solving. Even if it's a side or an angle, we still need Sohcahtoa. So let's write that at the top of the paper. Okay, so step 1, put an arc on the acute angle that's given to you and label the O's, the A's, the H's, whatever is given to you. This is across the triangle from it, so it's opposite, and 18 is the leg touching that angle, so this is adjacent. I have an O and an A, so we'll be using tangent. So this will say the tangent of 34 equals x over 18. Once you have that, you can cross multiply x times 1, 18 times the tangent of 34, and type this into your calculator. Remember, you must be in degree mode. If you're using a handheld calculator, you want to make sure that's in degree mode. You might have to Google how to do that. Or if you're using Desmos, you just want to make sure that you are in degree mode by making sure that you can see the word degree on your calculator. Okay, so 18 times the tangent of 34. I'm actually going to do that. 18 tangent 34. It's about 12.14. Okay, so we'll go to our maze. And, oh, there it is, 12.1. So that tells us that we are going to go this direction, and we are going to solve this triangle next. Here it is a little bigger so we can see it. Put an arc on your acute angle. Label, this is an opposite. This one's a hypotenuse. So if you're looking at your Sohcahtoa, you're looking for the one that uses O and H. That's so. The S stands for sine. So the sine of 48 equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. If your variable ends up in the denominator, what you're going to have to do is cross multiply. And then we'll have an additional step of dividing. Because I need that x by itself, I need to get rid of sine 48. So to undo multiply by sine 48, we're going to divide both sides by the sine of 48. So here they'll cancel. And in my calculator, we'll do 20 divided by the sine of 48. 20 divided by sine 48. We get about 26.9. We'll look at our maze. There it is. Which will now tell us which direction to go. All right. Is that right? Yes, it was. Okay, I'd like you to try this one. Put an arc on your angle, label the O's, the A's, the H's, whatever's there, and solve for x. Try this one. Okay, so you should have used cosine when solving here. Cosine of 71 is x over 54. Cross multiply, and you should get x equals 17.6. So that tells us we are going this direction. Okay. So now we need to go to the triangle that has a 12 and an x. There it is. All right, again, follow the steps. Put an arc on the angle, label your O, your A, your H, whatever's there, and then decide, are you using cosine, sine, or tangent? Set up an equation, cross multiply, and solve. Do that now. All right, so for this problem, you should have used tangent. Your angle is 57, the opposite is 12, and the adjacent is x. When you cross multiplied, you ended up having x with the tangent. So we have to divide both sides by the tangent of 57 to make sure that tangent 57 cancels out over here, giving us x by itself. And in our calculator, we'll type 12 divided by tangent 57. We should get x equals 7.8. So 7.8, oh, we're going up. All right, please try this one. Try this one now. Okay, so we should have used cosine here. Our angle is 29. X is the hypotenuse and 32 is an adjacent side. So we say the cosine of 29 equals 32 over x. This is another one where when we cross multiplied, we ended up having to divide by the cosine of 29. So we divide both sides by cosine of 29, canceling out here on the right. And in our calculator, we type 32 divided by cosine 29. We get 36.6. All right, so let's try this next one. All right, I'd like you to try this one. Please try this one now. Okay, on this one, our x was opposite 18. 49 was the hypotenuse. Since we had an opposite and hypotenuse, we're looking at sine. So we say the sine of 18 equals x over 49. Cross multiply here. We didn't need to divide anything because x times 1 was just x. So we just type 49 sine 18 into our calculator, and we get 15.1. Hopefully the setup, the labeling is getting easier the more and more that we practice. So here we go. All right, we're going to do this next one together because it is now a little bit different. What's different about this one is our variable is the angle, but the process is going to be the same. Put an arc on your angle. Label the sides that are given, either O, A, or H, whatever they are. So 25 is opposite and 28 is adjacent. So looking at my Sohcahtoa, I know that I'm using tangent. The tangent of the angle, in this case, the angle is the variable, is the opposite over the adjacent. And we learned in class that we are allowed to flip-flop our ratio and our angle, meaning we can put our ratio in the parentheses and our angle outside the parentheses, as long as we remember that we are inverting them. So we are using an inverse. So in our calculator, we are going to type tangent inverse of 25 over 28. So we do that here, function, tangent inverse, 25 over 28. So x is about 41.8. So it's slightly different. The setup is the same, but the solve part is different because we don't need to cross multiply here. We need to use an inverse. Remember, if your variable is an angle, then we need an inverse. 41.8. Let's do another one together. Okay. All right, the steps: put an arc on the angle. Here it is. This X is labeling here. Label what's given in the picture, either O, A, or H. So here's our hypotenuse. 45 is an adjacent. When I look at Sohcahtoa, Ka uses A and H, and the C stands for cosine. So the cosine of the angle equals the adjacent over the hypotenuse. We can play the flip-flop game, meaning put the fraction in the parentheses and the angle not in the parentheses, as long as we remember that we are using an inverse. So in our calculator, we will do the cosine inverse of 45 over 48, and we get about 20.4. Simple as that. Here it is. I'm going to ask you to do the next one. Try this next one on your own. Here it is. It's a little bigger for you. Try it now. All right, we should get 52.1. We were using sine because we were given an opposite and a hypotenuse. So the sine of the x, which is our angle, is the opposite over hypotenuse. Flip-flop your ratio and your angle, making this an inverse. In our calculator, we type sine inverse, 15 over 19, 52.1. So now we are going here. All right, I'm going to ask you to do this next one also. So try this next one. Here it is. Try it now. All right, we should get 78.5. 7 was adjacent to the given angle, and 35 was our hypotenuse. The adjacent hypotenuse tells me we're using cosine. So I say the cosine of x is 7 over 35. Flip-flop the x in the fraction, making this an inverse. Type this into our calculator, 78.5. All right, let's look at the next one. (14) and 22 are the given sides. X is the missing angle. Try this one. Okay, in this one, x was our angle. 14 is opposite and 22 is an adjacent. So we're looking at a tangent function. So the tangent of our angle is 14 over 22. Flip-flop our fraction and our angle, making tangent an inverse. Type this in our calculator, 32.5. And that brings us to the end. We have completed the puzzle. Great job, guys. Let me know if there's any questions, anything I can help you with. If you would like extra practice, I have more mazes like this and other kinds of activities that can also be helpful. And please do the review activity. The review has a PowerPoint, a key, and a video that goes over every problem with you. So that I highly recommend doing that before you take the test. Have a great day, everyone.